The threshold for parenting, like most things in life, is good enough. So you don't even
Yeah.
have to like do it perfectly like ever. Like that's never a
So I want
requirement.
you to say that again because it's super, super important because I think there's a lot of people in our audience that their
Mhm.
threshold, their own personal threshold for
Yes.
their parenting is really high. And maybe even in this conversation, they're like, oh man, I've got anxiety and I'm going to give it to my kids. And so say what you just said again.
That
Uh,
good enough parenting is actually more than good enough. And there is no like extra bonus points for being closer to perfect, because if we're talking about like what kids need from their parents, leaving their childhood into their adolescence and adulthood, they really don't need perfection. They really don't. They just need like enough love, enough presence, enough support. And when I use that word enough, I'm not like saying 90% enough. I'm saying like 51%, like on this side of good, right? But like just on this side is all you really need. And if their cumulative experience, if the kid's cumulative experience is not that it's perfect, but like for the most part, they're like, yeah, I feel safe with my parents. Yeah, they make me feel like I belong here. Yeah, if I need help, they're reliable enough. Yeah, like if the kid generally has this like, just that's a hair over mediocre assessment of their parents, like that's actually enough. It really is enough. Yeah.
and that's actually based on research, right? Like you're not
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
pulling
Yeah.
that out of the air.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 no. Like enough is really the requirement. And you know why? It's because ultimately we're talking about needs, and because we're talking about needs, the way that we experience needs is only in like only three categories: not enough, in terms of having our needs met; not enough, barely enough, and then more than enough. There's only three, right? It's not actually 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. It's only three experiences. And not enough is when we feel unpleasant emotions. And that's how we're hardwired. And that's why we have emotions, is because when our needs are not met, it's supposed to trigger this part of us that experiences a feeling to try to get that need met. Barely enough is somewhat satisfying, but sometimes there's some anxiety because you feel like if one thing goes wrong, then I'm going to fall back into the state of not enough. And then there's more than enough, right? And more than enough is just like I got a little buffer. And having like perfection doesn't actually create a more amazing experience of more than enough than just whatever, just like crossing the finish line, feeling some relief.